Hello, and thank you for listening to this Ringside Report Network podcast today. You can find more in-depth, exclusive written content on our website at ringsidereport.net. Before I hand it off to Dave and the team, I want to remind you that we are a listener-supported creator team. On our website, we would appreciate it if you supported our sponsors or purchased our exclusive merch. Branded clothing, mugs, and even jiu-jitsu gear, which are available only in our store. You can become a recurring supporter of our content at membership.ringsidereport.net. This, along with all our podcasts, is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon, iHeart, and TuneIn, wherever you get your podcasts. It would help us immensely if you left a positive review on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon. Thank you for your support and enjoy the show.
It's Ringside Report MMA tonight on the show. O'Malley versus Merab 2 is official. We'll preview UFC Vegas for this weekend and watch along with PFL going on right now.
Let's go!
Let's go indeed. Let's go. Everybody's here. AJ's here. Fred's here. I'm here. The whole crew.
What's up,
Fred.
guys?
What's up, AJ? What's up, Fred?
Usual.
Yeah. Thursday night. Hanging out.
Shitty cold week.
It's been cold. It's quite warm today, AJ.
Yeah,
It was rainy
but,
this
like,
morning, but quite warm as the
rainy.
day progressed.
Yeah, but very snowy last night. It was terrible, man. It was not my kind of weather, dude.
Okay.
I need to be in
Warming up.
Florida.
But it wasn't great, man. This morning was shitty, man. It was raining.
Yeah, it was shitty, man.
Yeah. It was bad. It was a bad drive into work this morning. The commute was rough. Very rainy, but we made it through. Warmed up. I don't know. You guys are down on the weather. I thought it was a nice day today. It was like so warm. I was out in a t-shirt at one point. It was good.
Were you?
Yeah. It was hot.
I was
in the
like
sun.
with gloves and everything, man. I was still freezing. It's not my weather, Dave. I
Okay.
need to be in Florida.
That would be nice. I'm watching
right.
the Yankees, who are in New York right now, playing the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yankees lost the first two games of the series, trying to not get swept. They're up 6-3. They were up 6-1, but then they just gave up 2 runs. So
Yeah, but what inning,
6-3.
Dave? What inning?
Bottom 4. A lot of time to go.
Still early, man. It'll be a big sweep tonight.
Mm-hmm. I'm watching that. I'm watching the PFL. PFL has a show
Yep.
tonight. PFL 1 about to get started. We have the featherweight and welterweight tournaments starting tonight, a new season of PFL for 2025, and we have Montreal prospect Fred Dupras.
Freddie!
H2O MMA, another H2O product, teammate
A
of
fellow
Elite.
Fred.
Another Fred, right?
Fellow
Another
Fred.
Fred, man.
another Fred who trains martial arts on Monk Boulevard. I mean, you
Same
have a lot in
street.
common, right? Same
I mean,
street.
we could almost
Listen.
you could mistake us, you know.
Yeah, you and Fred Dupras, yeah, for sure. Fred
Probably not.
trains
Same
with
body
one
type?
of the. You train just with his coach's brother, you know. Different guys, Louis Ho and Richard Ho over at H2O MMA, Freddie Garcia over at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu.
Planet.
That's right.
But he's a
Fred
beast, this
Dupras,
Fred,
though, is
man.
fighting tonight, so that'll be cool. We'll be watching him.
Who's he
He's
fighting
coming up-
against?
He's on the prelims. He's against Gabriel Braga. And right now, okay, let me tell you, Fred Dupras is a big underdog.
Is he?
Okay? Yes,
So,
which is
Okay.
exciting. I think, there's a lot of value with this guy. He's a
well,
talented
we know
fighter.
his levels of jiu-jitsu is like over the top. The guy is a beast. Very strong, very fast. Obviously, he's going to be like under the radar because he's coming into the PFL. But what most people have to realize in the PFL, there was a guy that was a 2-time champion that was there. And let's not forget Olivier Aubin-Mercier, man. He went there and he manhandled everybody twice in a row, $2 million in his pocket. So, and they trained together. So let's not forget that. There's, he might be under the radar, but this is the type of guy that you want to bet on.
Plus 440, the underdog, is Fred Dupras. Gabriel Braga, his opponent, minus 600, the favorite. So,
what's his specialty, Braga? Does it say a little bit on him?
Bragging?
I don't know too much about him.
He's bragging a lot.
He likes to brag.
He's a bragger.
His name is Gabriel, and he likes to braga.
Or Brujut. He likes the Brujut on the Braga.
I don't know about that. I don't think you want to insult the man. Jeremy Kennedy, another Canadian, also on this card, fighting in the welterweight tournament. Featherweight tournament. Just like Fred Dupras. Fighting at 145. Gabriel Braga is a 15-2 martial artist out of Brazil. He seems to win most of his fights with punches. Good punches.
Oh, he's a stand-up guy.
But a lot of decisions as well. A few knockouts, some decisions. No
How many submissions?
Submission victories.
There we go. This is where Freddie could take it to him.
Fred is 8-1. Has not lost an MMA fight since 2018. Several submissions on his record. So, big fight for him. Looking forward to watching Fred Dupras fight tonight. We'll have our eye on that here. We'll also be watching the UFC Vegas card this weekend. Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are we going to watch the UFC Vegas card this weekend, boys? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll be watching it.
Yeah, you watched the UFC Mexico card last weekend, right?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
Mexico, you know why I liked it?
Fred, did you watch it?
AJ's back-to-back wins, bro.
Yeah, that's good. Me too.
Why don't you say it, Dave? Why are you holding back, man?
Because I was asking Fred a question before you were gloating.
Because I know that you wanted to skip over the fact that my parlay won again.
Well, my parlay won too, AJ, and who cares?
Yeah, I know, but
Big
I
deal.
got back-to-back wins, dude. You got to catch up.
I'm trying to remember what was the main event last week.
Brandon Moreno got a decision win over Steve Erceg in the main event of UFC Mexico. Fred didn't watch it. I saw a couple fights, but didn't watch the whole thing. That's for sure.
Which ones did you watch, Dave?
What?
Which ones? You were watching the Raul fight, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think I saw the Drew Dober fight and something else.
I told you Drew was going to lose, man. You didn't believe me.
I didn't put him in my parlay because my parlay won. My parlay was Lupi Godinez. She got a decision win over Julia Polastri. Raul Rosas Jr. with a decision win over Vince Morales. And Brandon Moreno with a decision win over Steve Erceg. What was your parlay?
Last week?
You're too far from your mic, AJ. Get closer.
Can you get? Yeah, okay. Well, there was one fight that got disqualified, and they brought in Edgar Chairez against CJ Vergara. But I had Brandon Moreno. I had Manuel Torres over Drew Dober. I had Raul, and that's what came in.
Oh, okay.
I like that guy Edgar. I was gonna if I knew, that was gonna be the replacement before Thursday, I would have probably went with him as well. I mean, he won by
it's easy to say that after he wins in a first-round submission.
But I've seen, man, this guy is a beast. But great win, man. 12-6 now.
Yeah. UFC fight card came and went last weekend. They did a show in Mexico, and there's just not that many talking points to draw from it. You're supposed to have a fight card, and then there's winners, there's losers, and you go, well, what's next for this, and what's happening here? And it's just like, well, yeah. What happens to Brandon Moreno after this? I don't know. Maybe fights Pantoja again?
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Not much to say about the rest of the card.
Well, I was happy to see Raul back on the win column. He's 11-1.
Yeah.
He looked great, man.
I mean, he has won 4 in a row now. Raul Rosas, once the youngest guy in the UFC. He might still be. He's only 20 now.
That's right.
He is a 10th
Very
planet
impressive win.
jiu-jitsu black belt. 20 years old.
Ooh, Raul?
Yeah. According to his Wikipedia page. I don't know if that's real or not, but I believe it.
His grappling was awesome.
Yeah, he's a phenom for sure. How far does he go?
I think he could go further. I mean, you can see like his body structure and everything. You could see him like he's coming into like sort of, I want to say that manhood. He's looking bigger. He's looking stronger. He's looking meaner. I thought he was going to win by submission. I got to give a lot of credit to Morales. He was able to defend quite a bit, but it was relentless. Like, Raul was like all over him, but he didn't get that submission like I expected. He got the decision, a pretty well given decision. But Raul, man, 20 years old, man, he's, that's the thing. Like, we've seen that, like, over the years with the UFC where we've seen, like, 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds and that kind of stuff coming in, these phenoms, and all of a sudden they disappear because they get clocked. But Raul, man, he's there and he's actually performing. His stand-up has gotten so much better. This is somebody that, he's known under the Mexican community, but he's going to be something in the future, bro. This guy he's impressive, and I like him. I love his attitude. He's just a good ambassador for the UFC, in my opinion.
I mean, some disappear, some make it, man. Think of like John Jones, man. How old was he when he started in the UFC? He must have been pretty early 20s at most. Like, like some guys. I think the most important thing to take from Raul is 20. He still has like a good 5 years where his body could still like get stronger and more athletic and all. Like I wouldn't consider 20 being the prime of his physical possibilities. So like I still see him probably getting better with the next couple of years. So that's interesting for sure.
Yeah, but it's something that the UFC doesn't do very often, right? They don't usually build a kid and bring him up slowly along the path. They kind of build him up to a point where there's fan interest, and then they rush him to the top of the division, whether he's ready or not. And I wonder how they're going to treat Raul Rosas Jr., because clearly they have something with him. He's a guy that people are recognizing. He's, a face of the UFC right now. And I think the next few years will be real interesting to see his progression as far as what type of fights the UFC gives him and how hard they push him. I think the fight against Vince Morales was a good fight, but Vince Morales isn't, top 15 at bantamweight. I wonder at what point do they start going, okay, we're going to give him a bigger fight against a name, a top 15, a top 10, and then kind of see what happens. Because I don't know if he's quite there yet, but because he's accumulating so many fights in the UFC now at such a young age, and because he's getting a name, you wonder when the UFC might pull the trigger on a fight that he's not ready for, because historically that's kind of what they do. They haven't really slowly built anyone up ever. Like you talk about John Jones, it took 2 or 3 fights before you realize, like, oh, this guy's probably ready for the championship.
You know what, man? I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I'll throw you the example of Michael Bisping, who was like a guy that they were banking on, and they gave him a couple of gimmies early in his career and all that. So, like Raul Rosas, he's a big star maybe for them in Mexico, and it's a little bit of the similar path where, you want to set him up to be successful. You're not giving him gimme fights, because no fight's a gimme, but you're setting him up to be successful. But also, let's not forget the loss that he's had. I know he's on, I think you said, a 4-fight win streak, but he had a loss that was unexpected. And I think the UFC realized, like, this is still a young kid, man. We need to go gradually. Like, we can't be burning too many bridges. So you go step by step. Every fight he wins after that, man, you get a little step up in competition. And at some point, man, he'll get up to the top.
But I'm going to tell you something. You know what? The UFC learned their lesson with Sage Northcutt. And that was like their biggest hype. And it kind of like blew up in their face. And I thought Sage had a lot of potential. I thought he was thrown in too quickly. He wasn't very well versed in all the mixed martial arts. I think his grappling skills were still like under like basic skills.
Good
but
striker,
they needed to work him.
Yeah.
Good striker, good kicker, good, like, he had everything, the markability.
He had the
he
look
was,
and everything, but
he had the look. He was the George
out.
St. Pierre coming in.
They pushed him too hard.
No,
He's a perfect example.
But yeah, exactly. And that's a shame because I thought Sage had a lot of potential. But in some sense with Raul, I'm glad he had a loss on his profile, because the thing is that by having that loss shows you if he could come back, and he's obviously proven that. And that loss was, like he said it, he was upset and he came out stronger, and he's hungry, this kid. But the UFC is not going to make that same mistake like they did with Sage, but they're not going to also baby Raul, because people know that, listen, you can't give me fights all the time, especially at 20 years old,
Yeah.
He's got to have like some big names, which he did. Vince Morales is a guy with like 27 fights. He's like a veteran out there. So it was a good win by Raul. He looked very, very seasoned, man. Like his fighting IQ was like really high for a 20-year-old. And like Fred said, he's only 20 years old, and he's got a lot, man, to give in the years to come. This is the guy that we will say that he'll be a future champion at one point. But he's going to earn it. This kid's going to earn it.
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder how far he goes, and I wonder if he does get to that championship level, because I think that there's definitely potential for him to be there. He's a very talented young guy who seems to be getting better every time. So I'm a fan of Raul Rosas Jr., and I hope he does get to the top. At the top of that bantamweight division is Merab Dvalishvili, the champion. He is going to be defending his championship June 7th, UFC 316, against Sean O'Malley in a rematch. Sean O'Malley has not fought since last September, when he lost a decision to Merab. Merab Dvalishvili fought in January when he beat Umar Nurmagomedov by decision. Why does O'Malley get to sit and wait while Merab defends the belt?
That is kind of weird.
What's that? It's like they're treating O'Malley like he's the champion.
He sells more T-shirts, bud. That's why.
Like, O'Malley should have fought Umar, and Merab should have waited and then fought the winner.
I disagree on the O'Malley should have fought Umar, because I want the champion to fight the biggest contender, and that's what we got.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, O'Malley should have been fighting somebody else. So the fact that O'Malley got like a break is a little weird. But with that said, man, why not, man? Who else could it have been? Like, that's what I'm trying to check right now. I'm getting the rankings, and
I don't know.
Yeah, you see, there's not a lot of other options. So I understand. We always talk about marketability. So like John Jones, like Aspinall, he's not going to sell any pay-per-views. Well, O'Malley, he might sell a little bit of pay-per-views. Who knows, man? I don't know how much of a star he is, but he is somewhat of a star. So,
well, he was a star before he even became a star. I mean, this guy was making more money through his merchandise, his image, and all that kind of stuff. So there is a following for O'Malley. And you know what? Even with his fight, their first fight, I mean, he came into that fight with an injury. He was he had a groin injury. It wasn't like he couldn't really perform to the capabilities that he could have that first fight. I think the second fight is going to be a lot different. I think Merab has to be very careful. I think O'Malley's going to come in 100%. And let me tell you, a groin injury, which I've had in my life, man, that sucks. And it's not like you're fighting at the highest level. Like I was fighting at the highest level, but this guy was. So, it wasn't the best time for him to have that first fight. I think the second fight will be a different story. I'm not saying that he's going to win.
I think that first fight was pretty one-sided. I think that first fight was pretty one-sided, and I don't see it going any other way. Merab.
You think so? You think straight
man.
Merab?
O'Malley had nothing for him.
He tore his labrum, dude.
So?
So I'm just saying, man. Ask my brother. He knows.
He got completely outmatched in that fight. Like, I don't know what we're expecting here. I don't know. Like, of course, the excuses are going to come. You got to sell the fight. O'Malley's going to tell you he's quit doing this. He quit doing that. He's focused more than ever, and he's going to do it because he's got to convince himself. But I'm not convinced. The UFC is trying so hard to make Sean O'Malley their champion. They're desperate to have any kind of star to sell pay-per-views in their company. And that's why they're giving this fight to Sean O'Malley, because they think he's the ticket to money on pay-per-view.
You maybe say that, and
maybe he beats Merab, but I doubt it.
You say that, and you're probably partly right. But what I would say right now is the UFC wants to make any title fight they can, because I saw a thing the other day, like there's only 2 or 3 title fights that are announced past UFC 314. Like there's not a lot of fights being announced right now, like for this summer and all that. Like, so they need some guys to be main eventing some pay-per-views, and that's what you do. You know, you just put a quick fight together. Like it's O'Malley because he's the one that makes the most sense. I don't know if they're really banking on him winning, though. I think the UFC knows that Merab is probably going to win that rematch again. So, you know, they're just trying to put another title fight for a pay-per-view.
You're probably right about that. UFC 316 in early June 7th. UFC 317, that's the big 4th of July week fight card in Las Vegas. What main events
announced for that?
They have nothing announced. What main events that? I think, to me, there's only one fight that they can really make for that, and that is Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Lightweight championship.
I was reading this week, Topuria's not too happy because like he said that he vacated the title with thinking that he was getting a title shot at lightweight. And if he's not getting a title shot, it doesn't make sense for him to really vacate that title. So, yeah, like they need to – that's probably I don't know. Other than John Jones, Aspinall, I think Topuria versus Makhachev is the biggest fight the UFC right now could give us. And, they should be looking at giving this for – this summer, 4th of July, you say? That sounds perfect.
Yeah. I think that's the fight to make for that International Fight Week card. End of June, early July. Unless they could pull a rabbit out of a hat and get that John Jones-Aspinall fight done for that fight date, which I think is unlikely at this point. I think we're probably looking towards an Islam versus Topuria fight. And if it's not that, I mean, can you turn around and do Magomed versus Pereira too?
That would be
July?
Good.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because when they need a big one, they call Pereira usually.
Yeah, like if they're both available, I expect them to fight as soon as possible because, like I say, the UFC right now is struggling to put title fights, it seems. Like a lot of guys are inactive. A lot of guys, fights are not getting made. So Pereira versus Magomed would help them, definitely.
So say that's June. What's like late July? What's August? Like what does the UFC do for those two pay-per-views? I guess, we need a Dricus fight at some point, right? Who's Dricus going to fight? Khamzat?
Yeah.
Are we going to get that? Maybe Dricus Khamzat is the July 4th weekend fight. That's, that could be a big one. Because to me, the June 28th UFC 317 date, you have to have a big fight. And I'd be happy with Islam Topuria, but I'd also be happy with Dricus and Khamzat. Right? I think either fight would be massive. John Jones, Tom Aspinall. Those types of fights are the fights that we need for that card. other than that, what do you have? Those
Not
are all your
much.
divisions.
And a couple of weeks ago, man, there was talk about like maybe the UFC should consider getting a Netflix deal, a little bit like WWE or something like that. And man, with the lack of pay-per-view draw right now, man, that could make sense. Because I mean, honestly, like, okay, Dricus Khamzat, John Jones Aspinall, and Islam Topuria. Those fights, I agree, would sell. But those fights aren't done right now. And other than those 3 fights, what really like matchup can you put on the pay-per-view that sells? Like, I don't know. Like, so right now the UFC, they're in a tough spot, man. They need to get these fights done and maybe reconsider some business model.
I agree, 100%. I think they do need to reconsider their business model, considering where they're at right now. They don't have big fights. They don't have big-name champions. They don't have people that can sell pay-per-views. You know, there's talk that ESPN was unhappy with the UFC because of the lack of pay-per-view sales. Because ESPN, they own the rights to the UFC pay-per-views in the States. So if people aren't buying them, ESPN feels that they're not getting what they paid for. So that tells you something about the UFC pay-per-view sales over the last couple of years. So when that deal is done, I think Netflix is a good move. And I don't think that they should charge extra or anything. It should just be on Netflix like all the WWE stuff is on Netflix. Just put all the UFC there. No more pay-per-views, nothing. Just have everything on Netflix. That would be the best case scenario for the UFC and for the fans. Because if you continue under the current model, you go, well, what are you going to pay for? What are you really watching? What are these pay-per-views?
Yeah, but how does that work with the retail side? Like, you know, like bars and pubs and clubs or whatever that are hosting like the UFC
There's still
have to pay per
licenses
chair.
for that. There's still
Yeah,
licenses,
there's still licenses
for that. That's a commercial license that they need. Like when a bar is showing the UFC, they're not renting the Bell pay-per-view that everybody is renting. Like they got a commercial license for that. So there's still possibilities for that.
Is there commercial licenses to stream Netflix in your bar?
I mean, I could see a way where that would be still a possibility to get. Yeah.
Like if you want to show WrestleMania in a bar or something, do you have to pay extra Netflix or is it?
Yes, you should have to pay. I don't know if it's Netflix or WWE, but if a bar decides to show WrestleMania, usually they need to have some type of agreement for that.
But even under the Netflix deal, like I wonder what because before you were paying specifically for that event, now you're just paying for Netflix. So you're not allowed to show WrestleMania, but you are allowed to show some movie that you have streaming on Netflix. You know what I mean?
I don't think you would be allowed with a normal account Netflix. Like there's probably rules where it's for personal consumption.
Well, good thing I don't own a bar or restaurant, so I don't have to deal with any of these issues. I don't know why AJ always feels the need to bring them up. It's really inconsequential.
No, but like for yourself, like you don't go to many fights at bars. Like myself and Johnny, we've gone to like wrestling matches and we've gone to UFC, and there's money to be made. I mean, it's and just the atmosphere, everything. I love watching it in those type of environments. For sure, I like watching it at home at times, but I prefer being in a crowd with all like UFC fans or wrestling fans and getting that vibe. So like, how does that dynamic change which I believe it will end up going to something like a Netflix? It only makes sense, but how does that, or how will it affect like, the retailers? That's to be seen.
Apparently you can't show Netflix in any bars because Netflix's terms of service prohibit using the service for public performances or non-personal, non-commercial use.
Exactly.
You can't do it at all.
So then what the hell do you do then if it does happen?
I don't know, but I don't think you can do it.
Well, that's how you still sell commercial licenses.
Yeah, I guess there's a commercial license maybe you could buy for the Netflix deal, but it's complicated, AJ. And I just think that's where the UFC's going because they need something, or that, or Conor McGregor comes out of retirement and starts winning fights left and right and becomes champion and changes everything. But that's not gonna happen. So
It's not gonna happen, dude.
Nope.
Not
I don't know if he ever fights again.
Who was it? Was it Chael
doubt it.
Sonnen that just said it like this week or something, like you'll never see Conor fighting again because there's nobody that he can beat that's in the current roster? I mean, that's pretty heavy, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty heavy.
I wonder if
Conor
Chael
has
thinks he
other-
can beat guys in the current roster.
Well, you know what? Chael Sonnen, man, one of the best.
On the current roster right now, 2025.
Not on the.
You see the
Well, there
last time
could be a
Chael fought?
few
Come
guys.
on.
I think he could. I think he
No.
could. I just have to find.
I'd be surprised. Maybe though. Chael was pretty good. I don't know. Conor, I just he's a non-entity at this point. I think the UFC's forgotten about him. Like when Dana White does a press conference, nobody asks him about Conor anymore. Everybody's like, yeah, all right. It's all about Jones and Aspinall and everything, Nobody's talking about Conor. It's over.
Yeah,
Poor guy.
it's looking that way, and which is sad. I got my Conor doll right here. But the thing is that it's the Conor mystique. The moment that Conor says something that captures Dana's imagination, it's right back to the same thing. We're going to be hearing Conor talk all over again. But right now, most of the Conor talk is about politics, and he's in the media all the time. You know.
Yeah, he's running for president of Ireland or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what he's up to?
But he's always involved, in something, and his name is there. But, bare knuckles, obviously he owns a part of it. He's keeping active. He's making money. There's no doubt about it. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen in the UFC, which is a shame because I was expecting him to be back years ago, and, I like to see Conor fight again.
Yeah, the UFC was
Win or
too.
lose.
Remember that Ultimate Fighter, all that Michael Chandler stuff? Michael Chandler was expecting
Man.
him to be back years ago too. Didn't
That
quite
sucked.
pan out though, did it?
No, sirree, Bob.
No. Okay, guys, we have UFC going on this weekend. We also have PFL going on right now. Kim Tae-hyun defeated Nathan Kelly by submission in the first round with a rear naked choke to advance in the PFL featherweight tournament. Giannis Bachar taking on Masayuki Kakuri right now in a welterweight fight. That fight in the first round, I think? Or did it just end? Hold on. I think the
first round just
first
ended.
round just ended. And we're going to see Fred Dupras coming in the next fight. But before all that goes down, I want to get our thoughts on the UFC card going down this weekend. It is Josh Emmett versus Lerone Murphy in the main event. How about that? The main event. Can you believe that? You believe
can
those
believe
guys
it,
are
man.
in the main event? What's that about?
You don't think Lerone Murphy? You don't think he's a main eventer?
I
mean, Josh Emmett is okay to main event a fight night.
I guess an Apex fight night. Kind of mean
Knocked out
nothing.
Brian Mitchell. He's got
I mean, Lerone is
bit of that.
undefeated, man. I think we're a little bit being hard on Lerone here.
Josh Emmett is the 8th ranked featherweight in the UFC's division. Lerone is 10th. Okay.
Undefeated,
Yeah, but
defeated Dan Ige and Barbosa. I mean, those are nice wins.
Okay. All right.
He's 33 years old and Emmett is 40. I mean, another factor.
They're both kind of old.
Emmett is 40. I didn't think he was that old.
Yeah,
Emmett
40
is
years old,
quite
man.
old. Emmett knocked out Bryce Mitchell in his last fight, but that was way back in December 2023.
For real? Damn.
And that was
Yeah,
it.
and I'm only saying that because I wish someone would knock out Bryce Mitchell today. That would be great. Instead of way back in 2023. But it'll probably happen again soon, which will be funny. But that was back in December 2023. That was Emmett's last fight. As Fred mentioned, he's 40 years old. I don't think that's good. I mean, Emmett is a hard hitter. He's a good fighter, but the fact that he hasn't fought in like a year and a half, and he's now 40. And Murphy's undefeated and 33, winning a lot of his fights by decision, which is never great.
I mean, Josh Emmett might be 40, but he looks like he's fucking carved in stone. Like, he looks solid. Like, he's not your typical 40-year-old.
Well, no, your typical 40-year-old does not still fight in the UFC if they ever fought in the UFC. Your typical 40-year-old has never fought in the UFC, but your typical 40-year-old MMA fighter is not still fighting at a high level. It's not main eventing fight nights. Emmett, though,
and
coming
usually
in
they
plus,
don't do too
plus
well.
Plus 250 the underdog. Murphy minus 340 the favorite, which makes sense.
And that's the thing. When you look at extended layoffs, like, Yan or Gunnar Nelson, Vittori.
Hey, Dave, here's my parlay.
And that
on the
gang.
prelims, I pick every underdog to win.
Oh, you're picking
Better
every
believe
underdog to win on the prelims, AJ.
Not this time, dude. I think
That's
I'm going to
what
go
I
the other way.
I heard that.
Yeah, I know. That AJ, man. That AI AJ. But listen, man, it's going to be tough, man. He's been off for so long, 40 years old, man. And like I said, those names that I mentioned didn't do too well coming back. Lerone Murphy, good record, bigger guy, longer reach, 33 years old, just there right in that pocket of prime. Very tough. The pocket of prime, man.
Gotta get in the pocket of prime.
He hits hard, man. We'll see. It's gonna be an interesting fight. I think it'll go the distance, in my opinion. But I think it's gonna be Murphy that takes the W.
Co-main event is Joanderson, Brito the Burrito, taking on Pat Sabatini.
Hey,
and
what you
that
talking
is
about?
your featherweight co-main event. Uran Satibaldiev, a 9-0 fighter out of Kyrgyzstan, fighting at heavyweight against Martin Buday from the Slovak Republic. That's my fight to watch on this card. A big old dude with a lot of power and a lot of finishes, all wins, undefeated, and I think this is his debut in the UFC.
It's his debut. Yeah. He was an LFA champion. I mean, this guy is...
Uran
obviously nobody knows him, but he's a beast.
Baby. I'm excited about him.
And look, I picked Kennedy to win against Buday. Like it wouldn't even be close. He was like the biggest favorite, I think, coming into this card. But this guy that's coming in, just replacing him on like 1 day notice. Oh, sorry. What are we today? Thursday? 2-day notice. I mean, yeah, but he's a beast. And you know that he's going to be wanting to come and prove something. And the UFC... They were talking about trying to bring up new stars and that kind of stuff, and they got to start doing it. And I think this guy might be one of them. There's going to be a knockout here, and this guy's coming in, and he's going to do it.
The problem is, AJ, all these guys that are new stars for the UFC are all from like the same part of the world, and their English is not so good. And it's hard to translate to the American audience if you're not speaking so much English. Conor McGregor was real exciting because you could understand him. He had a funny accent. His first language was English, but it was kind of funny,
Yeah, you
that's
got
how
a point
he
there,
works.
Dave.
That's the problem.
Eventually...
Uran is cool. We like it because we know, like, all those guys, Kyrgyzstan, Dagestan, all the Eastern European stands are coming in and crushing the game. So when you see a new guy from there with an undefeated record who seems impressive, you're like, ooh, what's this guy going to do? It's cool, but to really sell pay-per-views and get people excited, you got to get talking. You got to be loud and boisterous and have a gimmick and everything. And a lot of these guys, it's all kind of the same gimmick, you know? I'm big, I'm scary, I have a beard, and I'm going to crush you with wrestling. You know, it's like, all right.
That's absolutely the truth. But that's exactly
cool.
what it is.
It's cool, but like everybody, it's like if a wrestler comes in doing the Khabib gimmick, and then like 5-10 wrestlers after him come in doing the exact same gimmick, and they're just all the champions of everything. It's like, all right, well.
But that's what's going to happen, I think, in the future. Eventually, we're going to have like a championship fight in probably quite a few divisions where it's Dagestan versus Dagestan. I mean, it's going to happen. You know, you can see it.
Well,
you know,
so far we have, I mean, the heavyweight champion. We got an American and a British interim. Light heavyweight champion, Magomed Ankalaev, Dagestan. Middleweight champion, South Africa. Welterweight champion, America, Palestine, Bilal Muhammad. Islam Makhachev, Dagestan, 155 champion. 145 champion, Ilia Topuria was Spain. So something different there. That was fun.
Georgia.
Andale.
Georgia Spain by way of Georgia, I guess, you know. 135, Georgia with Merab Dvalishvili, right? And then 125, Brazil with Pantoja, which is fun, right? You got to get a Brazil in there. And then in the women's side, you have, this is going to be tough. 135, we've got America and Venezuela with Juliana Pena, who's going to defend her title, by the way, against Kayla Harrison, the American, at that UFC 316 card in the co-main event of the O'Malley fight, O'Malley and Merab. The 125 champion, Valentina from Kyrgyzstan. And then the 115 champion is still Zhang Wei Li, right? Yeah, from China. So it's international, but Dagestan, the only country, the only place in the world with 2 UFC champions right now.
Right now.
1 Brazilian. Is there
Georgia.
1 American? 1 American. Wait, is Juliana Pena the only American champion?
John Jones.
Oh, John Jones, I guess. Yeah. I guess 2 American champions.
Merab and Topuria are from Georgia.
But Topuria kind of reps Spain, doesn't he? He speaks Spanish, doesn't he? He seems more Spanish. He talks about Georgia a lot. Like, was he born in Georgia and grew up in Spain or something? What's the story with him?
Not sure, but
not 100% sure.
We should know, right? Shouldn't we know more about him? He's one of the great fighters in the sport. We don't really know that much. But
I look at him more as a
fighting.
Spaniard than anything, to be honest. Like,
all right.
But, I mean, he's proud of his Georgian roots always. He talks about so. Is a Georgian and Spanish fighter. He was actually born in Germany, and his parents were refugees from Abkhazia, something like that, somewhere in Georgia, I guess. And he moved at 15 to Spain. So he was already 15, man. I mean, when you're 15, man, you're already somebody, man. So yes, he's Spanish, but he's Georgian also.
Oh yeah, 15 moving to Spain. He's Georgian for sure. Georgian Spanish. Okay. How about this? Do a parlay. AJ, you're the king of parlays. You've been winning every week. You got to give me a parlay for this fight card. Emmett Murphy coming up this weekend. You've won 2 in a row. I won last week. Fred, you're due this week. AJ, what do you got
Freddy's
for me?
due.
Let's start with the king of the parlay here.
So I'm going to start off at the top with Lerone Murphy, like I was saying.
My parlay won like 2 weeks ago, so.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's true. Freddie did win 2
We're
weeks ago.
constantly winning on this show. One of us is winning.
Yeah, which is a good sign, man.
Yeah.
At least you'll make some money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we didn't do so great last year, but, you know, we're starting 2025.
We're always doing great. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Do
Just give
better
me your
so far.
freaking parlay, man.
So then I'm gonna go with Pat Sabatini, man.
Ooh,
Over
your
Brito,
paisan.
Italian over Brazil. But yeah, man, for sure, man. His grappling is phenomenal. Then I'm going to go with let me get my pick right here, which is Chang Ho Lee over Romeos. So Chang Ho Lee for the win. And then I was gonna go with Kennedy over Buday, but this guy, Uran, man, he's a beast in the making. So I think this guy it's gonna be a quick fight. I think it's gonna be a knockout before the
I can't put him on
within
the
the
parlay.
first or second round. You can't? Oh, because he's a
For
Facebook.
some reason, I also
What is
can't
he?
put this Chang Ho Lee fight. I think it's getting canceled or something. I don't know.
What?
It's not letting me put that fight on the parlay. And
Oh, so that means that there must be an injury.
something's happening.
Damn. Okay. So let me just back it up with something else here.
Because I was going to say Romeus Cortavius. That's a fucking cool name, man. I'm picking him just
Yeah,
'cause of the
but
name.
he's
Yeah, we
No,
can't
dude, you don't
pick
wanna
that
do-
fight
you
for
don't wanna
some
do-
reason. I think something's in flux. And you can't pick the other fight with what's his name? The new guy?
What are you talking about? Lira? Oh, Uran. Yeah, probably
Uran.
because it's
Because
Yeah,
they don't have
right
odds on
now.
it yet.
yeah, they don't have an update. Damn it.
It just
man.
got made like today.
Not doing well for me, man.
Yeah, you have 2 fights on this parlay so far.
Wait, let me just look through my backups here. Tell me that I can still pick Daniel Santos.
If you want to.
So let me go with Daniel Santos, and then I'm going to go with Alencar over Demopoulos. Over the Greeks.
Daniel Santos.
Angelo, hopefully he's not listening. Daniel Santos
I don't see Daniel Santos anywhere. Daniel Frunza. I
versus
see.
Davey.
Daniel Gustavo
Oh,
Santos.
Gustavo
against-
Santos. Okay, I see that.
Yeah, over
And
Davey
who
Grant.
else?
But
You're
that's
going
going to be
with Ana Talita de Oliveira Alencar over Vanessa Demopoulos?
yes. I'm going to go with that.
Okay. That's an interesting parlay from Team AJ. It's a 4-fight parlay. I'll give it to you right there. It is.
Man, Alencar, she's one of the top jiu-jitsu black belts, man.
It'll pay out to 20. Will get you 220. So that's a lot.
That's not
It's
a
big
bad
payout.
payout.
Daniel Gustavo Santos over Davey Grant. Pat Sabatini plus 180 over Joanderson Brito. Ana Talita de Oliveira Alencar over Vanessa Demopoulos. And Lerone Murphy over Josh Emmett. That's the Team AJ parlay. Okay.
Looks good, man.
Looks okay. I could give you one.
Thanks,
and
Johnny.
then Freddie will jump in on one. I'm going to give you... tricky. I'm going to go with Lerone Murphy for sure. Okay? We're going to start with Lerone Murphy. That Vanessa Demopoulos fight, though, AJ, I don't know. I don't know about you and your Vanessa Demopoulos hatred.
I didn't go with Vanessa. I went with...
I know. I think that was maybe the wrong move.
I don't think so.
What's the age difference here? Not much. Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to keep it real simple then. I'm going to give you Lerone Murphy in the main event. I'm going to go with this card is terrible. I got nothing for you.
Yeah.
I really it's terrible. It's like garb. It's nothing. I don't want to watch these fights. I'm gonna watch AEW. I think on Saturday or baseball. Definitely baseball. This is my parlay for this crappy card that they're doing. Lerone Murphy and Loma Lokbume. It's 20 to win 29. It's not even worth it. Just like this card, not even worth it. Okay.
Well, it's a win, man.
It's not worth it. Fred,
Wow.
what do you got?
I got Lerone Murphy because, I think he's going to win. And how about we try and match him with Gerald Meerchart, or however you pronounce his name? because I feel Brad Tavares is not very good lately. But with that said, so is Gerald's not much better. But
Yeah.
Gerald Mearchat and Lerone Murphy. That's my.
There it is.
They're both
Murphy,
37
Gerald
years old.
Mearcart. It is a $20 parlay that gets you $71.18 over at bet99.com. How about that for Fred?
Well, Freddie Gerald, he might have a little edge
something.
with the reach, you know. But when you're looking at their age, they're both 37, you know, same height, but Gerald has just a bigger reach, so that could be his, you know.
Ooh, Fred Dupras in the first round right now has an arm-in guillotine.
What?
He's got Braga in the guard. He's got the guillotine.
He's fucking squeezing.
He's squeezing like crazy trying to finish this fight early in the first. This would be a huge upset if Fred Dupras can pull off this guillotine.
Pull it off, man. That's what happens.
Squeeze
People don't know
his
who
head
he is.
off. Oh, I think. Oh, Braga popped his head off.
That's gonna be an issue now.
Yep.
Oh man, he squeezed hard. I don't know how his arms are gonna be.
Oof. Now Dupras eating elbows. So PFL going on right now, and Montrealer Fred Dupras is fighting in the first round. And he did have a guillotine squeezing on it hard, but he has lost it now, and he's getting punches and elbows
Antoinette
on the bottom.
Who else is there?
Shout out to everybody watching us in the chat, all the members over at join.ringsidereport.net, donate.ringsidereport.net, and membership.ringsidereport.net.
Brooklyn.
Antoinette checking in. Thank you, Antoinette. And Dupras now has his back taken. In a bit of trouble here. In the first round.
Is this the first round?
Yes.
The first. Listen.
He was standing on top of him with like the guillotine, and he committed. He should have maybe just started hitting him, and because Braga was on his ass, and Dupras was over him.
Actually, that's a good point there, because my only like negative thing with the Raul fight last week in Mexico was he had such good like jiu-jitsu control at many points, but he didn't engage in throwing some punches and elbows when he could have clearly done. And that's the thing. Sometimes when you're so focused on the jiu-jitsu part, you're controlling the body game, but you forget the striking part. And I saw that with Raul. Like I was like, man, just throw a couple. Doesn't mean they have to be devastating, but the strike count goes up, right? And it goes in your favor at the end of that card. So I'm not able to see that PFL fight right now, but it'd be nice to see Fred, like, you know, if he's in a control position, throwing more punches and elbows.
He is on the bottom right now. Braga on his back with both hooks, trying to sink in a rear naked choke with just over a minute left in the first round. Dupras looking to hold on and hopefully get a reset here in the second round and get a better position.
It was a heavy first round.
What?
Was it a heavy first round? Like, do they look like completely worn out?
No, I mean, it wasn't. It's not been crazy. It's been Braga kind of controlling the grappling exchanges. Now Braga trying to, you know, just kind of with a takedown on Dupras, controlling him. Dupras went for the guillotine. He lost it, and then Braga was in his guard, kind of throwing punches and elbows, right? Pulled guard with the guillotine, and it didn't work. Oh, Braga now trying to squeeze in a rear naked choke, and he gets it.
No.
Might have been more of a face crank, but Braga tapping out Fred Dupras in the first round.
That sucks,
just about 25 seconds left to go in the first.
That really sucks.
It does. It's too bad.
25 seconds, man.
I was rooting for Dupras, but Braga comes through with a victory, and he will advance in the PFL featherweight tournament. First round
that
submission.
bites, man.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, on that note,
it is
guys,
what it is.
The Yankees are up 9-3 in the sixth inning, so that's good. Jazz Chisholm.
What about the Canadians, man?
Hit a home run.
Aren't they playing Boston tonight?
idea.
Johnny, give us a score. Big game, man.
Montreal Canadiens are playing the Boston Bruins and are up 2-0 after two periods.
The Habs are doing well.
I guess they have a third period coming up, and they're up 2-0 going into that third period.
It's good,
How
man.
about that?
Finally.
How about that?
Man. One Canadian down, at least the Canadians are up by 2.
There you go. There's something. And the Yankees are up,
There's
which is
something.
good for me, so I'm happy about that. And Johnny and I will be back tomorrow night to talk about professional wrestling, all the things in pro wrestling, WrestleMania coming up in a couple of weeks, the WWE back in the United States after a month in Europe. They are back in the U.S. in Chicago for SmackDown tomorrow night. So we'll be watching SmackDown along with you tomorrow night. 10 p.m. Eastern start here on the Ringside Report Network. Back to our 10 p.m. start after the nice 9 p.m. starts we were getting because of Europe SmackDown. Now we're going back to 10.
Was it a good response in Europe?
Yeah, they loved it. They went crazy. They were singing. They were having a great time. If you want information on that, AJ, you can watch Wrestling Uncensored from last week. We talked about the European crowds. And we talked about European crowds the week before as well. Lots of singing, lots of excitement, lots of overpriced tickets, they were happy to pay for. First time they're ever seeing TV in Bologna, Italy, or whatever, Glasgow, Scotland, all the places that they were. They're coming back to the States, though. They'll be in Chicago tomorrow, Minneapolis on Monday, and then in 2 weeks they'll be in Las Vegas getting ready for WrestleMania. So that's pretty big, right? WrestleMania? Fred. WrestleMania.
It's already that time, man.
That's right. Springtime, WrestleMania time. Exciting times here on the Ringside Report Network.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word. Please share this episode on whichever social media platform you use. Add a comment below and consider reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net. Check out our website at ringsidereport.net. Hope to see you again next time, and have a good night.